$600 pension 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. Tuesday night, we're in full effect. So, welcome. It seems like it's been quite some time since I've done a live stream, but I'm here this evening, and as you guys can tell from the title of this video, I think this is a very interesting subject matter because I came across an article. Actually, somebody in the community sent me an article. I think it was over the weekend. I wasn't able to get to it, so I figured let's talk about it tonight, because it's one of the things that might go unsaid if it's not mentioned tonight, so that people have a fair warning about what's going on and the threat against what they consider to be safe inside of their bank account or their banks or whatnot. So that being the case, before we get too far into tonight's chat, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk. Welcome. If we have any new viewers, as always, let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to welcome you firsthand. There's 2 ways. You got this chat box right here. Let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to give you a shout out. And then above my head, 313-462-0027. It's the number for you to call to let me know what's on your mind outside of this subject matter for the night. But as always, let me welcome a couple people into the chat, and then we can get into what's going on out here, because there's a lot of things happening. I got some QE mentioned. So I got some QE talk I wanted to discuss. Also, a parallel currency in Italy that's coming, possibly, that will be very problematic for the euro, as well as the whole European Union as a whole, but it is what it is. Better now than later. We got Spirit, we got Davey, Scott, we got Yankee Stacking, Horror Breakdown. How you doing? We got Low Blood Pressure from Corpus Christi, Texas. And what else is going on? So yeah, so there's an article I'm actually going to pull up here. It's not a more so article. It's a screenshot from someone who I'm assuming is a member of this particular bank, and they recently, or someone they know recently, got a letter in the mail. So let me actually pull up here. So I'll actually show you my screenshot. And so it was shared by David Cullum on Twitter. Not sure. It says a professor of organic chemistry at Cornell University. So he's a professor, fan of Austrian business cycle. And so he's seems like, he's just looking out for people by sharing this, assuming it was shared with him. But I actually zoomed in to this particular letter here and read it from top to bottom. And it's quite interesting that they cover a few things in there, of which, for whatever reason, they decide to mention if you have gold in your safe deposit box, you must remove it because it's no longer allowed and is subject basically to confiscation if it's in there. And if they happen to go in there and find it, they can then take it because they gave you a warning. So basically, they gave people 60 days to make that move. And so I actually, says this is hard to read, but gold fans will want to blow this up and read it if you have gold in a safe deposit box. KeyBank says that it is not allowed as of August 9th. And so I'm not sure. I'll assume that there's a lot of people. I would imagine a lot of the older population that might have gold or just, metals in general in their vaults. And so here's a letter here. So every letter or every type of any piece of information is shared typically is always a way to give people a heads up before something is done. And so this right here is obviously because of a banking standard or something of that nature. I'm assuming that this just may not be an isolated event with KeyBank, but give you an idea, I can thumb through it briefly for those that can see it, but I can see it pretty good. It says, because you're a valued Key Bank client, we always want to keep you informed about changes to our products and services. That's why we're letting you know about the updates to our safe deposit boxes and how they're managed, so you can decide how to best protect your valuables. So there's 4 clauses here. It says liability limit for the box. It says the aggregate value of content per box and the maximum liability for Key Bank has been set at $25,000. Also, remember that the contents of your safe deposit box are not FDIC insured. So, of course, whatever you decide to put in that box, content-wise, is insured up to $25,000, but it's not insured by. It's not insured. It says the maximum liability is for Key Bank has been set at $25,000. So it looks like a separate type of insurance will be on that $25,000 because it's not FDIC, which is for the currency's sake. And it says contents of the box. It says you can no longer store gold, bullion, or non-collective domestic or foreign currency in your box. Key is not liable for any loss, damage, or theft, or other casualty of gold, bullion, or non-collectible domestic or foreign currency for any reason. So my question is, if the box is locked up and safe, and there's a key that the bank has and you has, or something to give you access to it, how can it be stolen, or some of those is a loss, damage, or theft, or any casualty they're not responsible for. So once again, what's the whole point of having a vault locked at all times? Granted, those things do happen, but what's the likelihood of somebody actually knowing which box to go in? So that right there is a way of them covering their own behinds. It says access to the box. If your box does not appear intact and could expose the contents, Key has the right to something and or enter to ensure your box and anything else inside of the keep secure. So if your box look like it's off, once again, I'm not sure how does your box look off or tamper with whatever there, that gives them the right to go in. So basically, at any point, according to these 2 guidelines here, they can now say, hey, we felt that your box looked tilted, so therefore we want to go in and make sure it was secure. And then, oops, we found gold, so I'm sorry, you can't get this back, or it's stolen. So this is a way where they can, basically remove that sense of security of being able to store your metals, in this particular case here, in their possession at no additional cost. So yeah, not surprised at all, but this is interesting. So for those out there that partake in the safe deposit box for that type of contents there, you might want to take heed of this warning from Key Bank. And more importantly, let me know if anybody out there also has gotten a letter from someone or some bank or whatnot of the same magnitude. I'll be interested in finding out. But that's very interesting. I want to acknowledge that super chat from Lakeem Muhammad, $4.99. I appreciate that. It says, save gold to protect yourself and your family. Definitely save precious metals. Or, as I like to, I thought about this today, and I was thinking about, I want to say, I don't use the word save because it boils down to saving. But people who utilize and acquire or redeem paper for those metals and keep them in their possession, you are already saving money technically in your metals. It's using the paper and all that digital stuff that also you run the risk of losing a lot of purchasing power, as well as theft and devaluation, and most of those things are subject to the markets anyway. But yet I get your point. But once again, it's that thing where if it's not in your possession or somewhere you can get access to, the bank is telling you they don't want it in their vaults no more. So that's one less place that people should consider a viable option to store their metals. But let me keep moving right along, so I appreciate that. What's going on in the chat? As always, feel free to let me know. It says the safe deposit box gold removal is 2 years old. Rob B. Interesting. So from different banks or what? Let me check the time frame on this. So for this particular Key Bank here, this was issued to whoever was covered up as of June 3rd. So whoever shared this particular letter here got this in the mail last week. So this particular bank might be new. But Rob, let me know what other banks that you're aware of that have put this on there. Because I'm not surprised at all. It's just interesting how they say by August 9th. Like by August 9th, okay, so what? After August 9th, then what? And also I kind of got the vibe that at the end of this summer, heading into the fall, due to current events, it just seems very, very interesting that how banks could be in a very much tighter situation, given the fact we're going to have some interest rate drops and all the things that come along with that. Because once again, I think not too many people are considering how if there will be some Fed funds dropping soon, that's going to alter the products and services that commercial banks can offer people. Because to my knowledge, I would imagine the primary financial products they offer are CDs and savings and checking accounts. They can't really offer much interest, and they damn sure won't be offering much interest in the next couple of months when they drop rates even further. So these rate situations play into their lack of ability to tax people through these little gadgets that they try to get out there to get people to save. So I can imagine they're going to be coming up with some new cash incentives or cash back incentives. I imagine the cash back opportunity is going to go up. So it'll probably go up to 3%, 4% cash back, which is all designed to get you to spend, not to save, of course. And it says, are you willing to leave the country if the economy gets really bad? Was that Juan Isaac? And so I'm not sure if that's directed to me, but I'll answer that. Am I willing to leave the country? I would like the option to be able to leave the country, but once again, I don't think there's going to be a geographical location that will be immune to an economic or a credit freeze or some type of currency event that stems from the banking sector that would be any safer than the United States of America. So I don't think it'll be ideal for a lot of people, because unless you actually have a destination already planned, you have real estate somewhere, you got family somewhere, or something that's already up and running where you're familiar with that location, the chance of you being able to find something in the midst of some political chaos or whatever in various countries may not be ideal. So long story short, I would like to, but I don't think it'll be a viable option. It says, Mike, they want gold in people's houses out in the open and out of legal jurisdiction trouble. They're coming for it. Spirit King, that's definitely a possibility. But as far as they coming for it, once again, apart from the older population that utilize safe deposit boxes, because I personally don't know of anybody, apart from people that I know that are older, that still look at those as secure ways of holding things. And so the younger generation especially, don't have much to save. They don't more than likely have metals. And so I don't foresee there being a way to really gauge who has what, apart from assuming that the older generation will be the ones that would be aware of the monetary matters, the monetary aspects of metals, where they would have it. But beyond that, a good portion of the population don't even have metals. So I'm not sure exactly how they would know and what they're going to come for. But that's just my opinion. It says, not only that, Mike, you also have to pay them for the box. Very good point. Very good point. So my thing is, apart from files, paperwork, or whatever, what really can you trust to put in a banking institution that's subject to possibly having some type of banking event where they close their doors? And when their doors are closed, how do you really actually get in? You won't be able to get access to your box. So once again, what type of things would you want to have in there in case of emergency that you need to get to? So that's just some things I think people should consider now before it's too late. Linda says, hi, everyone. That's crazy. 100% says your gold is safer in your mailbox. Depending on where you live at. Lakeem Muhammad says, I have a free gold saving account. I hear you on that one. And once again, the idea of being able to save, and that's another thing. Like I was watching a commentator earlier talk about a variety of new products and services out there that offer things of this nature. And so I'm assuming, Lakeem Muhammad, that you're referring to possibly the Care Bar situation where you get to store gold for free and set up a free account there. And so definitely I'm aware of that. I have one. But then again, it's a matter of how much are you willing to place in these particular vehicles is labeled free, because nothing truly is free. It comes at a cost to somebody. So how much are you willing to put into the hands and to the care of some other institution would be my question. And that's why, in my opinion, I believe that if you utilize someone else's service for storage, be willing to accept the fact that perhaps if there's some type of event or some type of way that you can't get, you shouldn't expect to be able to get access to it in a worst case scenario. So therefore, how much do you put where and how? Those are all things that I think people should consider, especially moving forward as things become a little bit more tense. Like right now, international trade is a big issue, which can definitely cause issues on what is perceived as safety in vaults and storage in other countries now, because this whole trade situation can turn allies into enemies real quick all over, the destruction of economies factored on by this whole currency devaluation that President Trump just tweeted about, saying that everyone's dropping their currency and it's not in our favor. So once again, we're about to drop our currency pretty soon with quantitative easing, but I don't think that's even a part of the subject matter. So what else we got here? It says, I can have physical gold delivered by FedEx right to my door. Lakeem, I feel you. Now, it's another thing. That's logistically, it works now in good times, but imagine if the economy's hit, a little hiccup there, and logistically packages don't move as freely as they do now. That could be something to consider as well. But I'm not up here, hating on you, because with Carrot Bars, I understand what you mean. I like the FedEx boxes in the mail too, so I take it for now. It says Davey said gold money. Gold money. Gold money. I think it was about 3 years ago now, when before gold money was gold money, before James Turk sold gold money, when it was Bit Gold, I was a big fan of it because that was prior to the whole KYC, know everything about you. But over the last year or 2 years now, gold money to me has changed dramatically to where I personally closed out my account, told everybody I know to close out their account, because the service was not worth the headache. And so I wasn't not really a fan of goldmoney.com anymore. So I personally don't use it. And it started off good, but once it became a publicly traded company, the rules changed, and yeah, it became very bank-like. And that's not what I believe is good for the people in general. So I stopped endorsing it myself. So Yankee Stack says, I got 21 OZTs of gold and still doing my best to stack it. All right, man. Keep doing what you do. Yankee stacking. And assumably it's all in your possession as well. Says, just looked it up. It says, I'm involved with a company where you saving gold in incremental amounts that's affordable for everyone. Lakeem, I feel you, my friend. What else? It says, just looked it up. Nice Yankee. I'm heavy and silver. Anyone can start saving physical for $5 for 1/10 of a gram. Says, don't hold it. You don't own it. Third-party custodians as and trustworthy. Low blood pressure. I'm focusing mostly on silver right now. So yeah, definitely silver right now is the best method to. Silver is one of the things where, because of that ratio aspect, I was talking to David Kranzler. Was it for that video I did last week? Yeah, or this week rather, and even just prior guests about the utilizing that ratio to your advantage. And right now, silver being under $15, give or take the premium aspect, is a great buy. You really can't go wrong with that. And it's one of the things where you would buy it and sit on it for the very long term. Like, just sit on it till there's a ratio correction, or you just had to come up off of it. But it's too good to pass right now. Lakeem Muhammad says you can have it delivered right to your door. Very true, my friend. So I appreciate you sharing that, because what he's referring to is the Carrot Bars, and so that's a part of the RTD Gold team. So beneath this video here, there's a link for those that are interested in finding out more information about that. It says, what else we got here? I'm from North California, but not in San Francisco. Homelessness, not too bad here. Yeah, and so I think it was from the interview I did with David Kranzler. He mentioned about, I think it was him, about the second world, third world status and how homelessness in America is becoming more of a prime time story. And so he referred to that, I think it was Dave Krasler, he referred to that in regards to the fact that we're becoming more, tolerant of the idea of having homeless in our cities. And especially we know the coastal areas have a higher population, more likely of homelessness. But I know there's homelessness in Detroit. Every metropolitan city has areas where people are down their luck and out in the streets and doing whatever they do. I was actually in Chicago a couple weekends ago, and driving into like downtown Chicago underneath one of the bridges was like some tents and I'm thinking like, man, like this is like downtown. Like we got all these skyscrapers right here, but we got people living under the bridge in Chicago. And so homelessness is everywhere. And I bring that up because what if more of the population experienced those same type of hardships and troubles to where, epidemic right now, I'm not sure what the total amount of people that's probably out in the streets, but I want to say it's definitely in the millions. And so say if, 1 or 2% of the population right now are living in the streets or in underprivileged neighborhoods and abandoned houses and that environment there. That's like the entry point, or similar to what probably 2/3 of the planet already lives like. As far as you got the Central American area, a lot of places in South America where people would live in environments that we would consider borderline homeless here, like having a shack and a tin roof. So my point is, as time goes on in this country, as the cost of living in this country, especially on the coastal areas, continues to increase because of monetary policy over the last decade plus, like I really truly believe that this next round of stimulus is going to price out even more of the population to where that percentage of people who are underprivileged or homeless or whatever it might be, say 1-2% of the population, that number will grow. Because once again, if people can afford to live in those coastal areas, they don't seem to be moving further inland in bulk, but they're staying there and they're shacking up in houses and boats and tents and boats and RVs and stuff like that. So I think homelessness will definitely in the next 10 years become a very major problem, to the point where a good portion of the U.S. might end up looking, whatever second world, third world status living, looks like, but it's going to be very impoverished in my opinion. And so I think that's something that, if it's not currently a real issue that people are paying attention to, it will become one. Because I think the wealth disparity that's current will only get wider, and it's going to get wider much faster once they decide to start stimulating the economy again. Because the people who get stimulated, the people who's closer to the banking sector, and everybody else is on the outside looking in. So this comment says that, Mike, you're in Detroit. Damn. Yeah, man, that's where it all began. What else we got here? Yankee, if silver go to 10-1, I will give Scrooge McDuck competition. Bitcoin is open source, centralized, fairly distributed, globally acceptable digital gold. Litecoin is the new silver. Yeah, man, Litecoin is taking a bid today, and for some reason, I feel like Litecoin is taking a bid, is doing a bid rather, and I don't know, but I kind of feel or sense that it has something to do with what Facebook is doing. And so we may not all know, but Facebook apparently has the global coin coming out or something like that, their own little so-called currency. But I think it's not going to really be a cryptocurrency because it's centrally controlled by Facebook. So it's their own digital currency that might be stable to the dollar, if that's not even stable. But I'm starting to think that Litecoin has something to do with this Facebook ordeal, just because if everybody remember Charlie Lee talking about, I think it was last year, in the beginning of 2018, about his 4 or 5, he had 4 or 5 things on his list of things that needed to take place before mass adoption or something like that. And he couldn't talk about them, but he knows about them. And that was a part of the reason why he sold his Litecoin, apparently. So once again, nobody's really mentioned, or he hasn't even mentioned those 5 things and what has been checked off since. I don't know what they are exactly, but I think whoever he sold those Litecoin to, apart from his foundation, that stuff might be rolling out right about now. And I imagine the people who are in the know, they got wind of what might be utilized or what Litecoin might be utilized for, and you got more people buying it. Because for it to increase within, what was it, $10, $12 overnight, definitely it sparked some newbies interest, and so you got some fresh money going into that stuff. Okay, let me see here. It says Spirit King says 60% of homeless have jobs. Yeah, 60%. So wow. I mean, I'm not. Is that figure in your area, or is that here in the U.S.? Nameless says Facebook's global coin is just another token stablecoin tied to USD. So when USD dies, so do all the stablecoins. Think Zims, they can't print enough. Yeah, that's what it's labeled as. But for some reason, it's going to be good for those that are labeled, those currencies that are labeled as decentral, I believe. I'm not sure how. But we got a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Lucas from Manchester, Connecticut.
Lucas from Connecticut. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this night?
I'm doing well. I just had a quick question about your 2 coins, your 2 rounds that you have on SDBullion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So you have 200 minted of each, right?
Yes, 200 for the Instagram side of things. I'm not a real Instagrammer. I have one, but from the person who mint them, there's a huge following for the hand-poured rounds on Instagram. So yes, there's 200 for Instagram and 200 for YouTube.
So my question is, are there going to be more minted exactly the same, or are these done?
Yeah, so once the total of 4 hand is hand poured and stamped. So once 400 hits that coin, so every coin is numbered. So this is the very first one. This is 1. So when the one says 400 on it, that's when they're all said and done. So this particular coin with this image after 400, sauce you wrote. So
beautiful.
No more will be made. So try and create like a little bit of a scarcity.
All right, beautiful. So I'm adding one of each to my tonight's silver purchase.
I appreciate you, let you know. Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for supporting the channel. And I got a couple more creative designs I want to put out there, but until I get all these moved, I'm not going to do anything else. So I appreciate you, my friend, for supporting and definitely getting your weight up. So that's I think very important for people to do. So appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's all I wanted. Have a good night, bro.
Yep, you
Take
too.
care.
Thanks. Yeah, man. Good stuff as always. Appreciate the support. Hey, yeah, man. It was long overdue, man. I figured I want to do something with my own little image and logo, something I get behind and support. And when the opportunity to do something that is as scarce as these hand-poured ones, I'm like, man, I got to do that. Got to do that. And so Common Sense says, Mike, Charlie Lee is a scammer. He got out of the top. Low blood pressure. I'm assuming a lot of people hope Charlie Lee is a scammer and he did get out, because if he's not a scammer and he didn't get out at the top, a lot of people will be mad that they didn't get in time. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Tim, Colorado.
Tim, how you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Good. Hey, I'm going to turn it all around on you tonight, okay?
Go ahead.
So you asked me a question.
Mm-hmm. So
shoot.
I asked you a question. Okay, that's different.
Come on, bring it on, boy.
Tim, how much?
Yeah.
How much money? How much currency will the Federal Reserve include in their QE4 program?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. So the very first, they're gonna go before Congress and say, we need you to sign off on this. It says unlimited zeros. Yeah.
Yeah, we're already there.
I don't think.
Come on, whack me hard. Come on, hit me with something good.
All right, so I don't think we are. I don't think we're nowhere near unlimited, because I don't think we've even seen the beginning of what will be needed to prop up or to attempt to try to prop this up. Because think about it.
When's it fall then?
It's gonna be coming soon. And so I'm gonna share an article when we get off the phone, because it looks like Mario Draghi, before he leaves his position, they're going to start stimulating too. So you got the U.S. stimulating, EU stimulating, Australia going to start stimulating, China going to be stimulating. Everybody going to be stimulating.
Stop talking about your wife. I'm just being an ass. You know that.
You're good, man. But just get ready for the stimulus, man, because everybody's life going to be changed when every country starts stimulating. Because all that is the currency war in hyperdrive. Everyone's going to try to lower each other's currency down to the bottom, which basically means less and less value on things that we do value in terms of currency. So it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
So what can you say positive?
I can say,
give me some positive news.
The positive news is get your weight up.
I got it. I can't carry it now.
You can
we got a problem here, Mike.
Yeah.
The gold is lighter than the silver.
So if your gold is lighter than your silver, then you can go a lot farther. So you might want to be able to convert some.
Well, I mean, we can carry the gold. We can't carry the silver.
In mass, correct.
Yeah, it's just too heavy, man. But
man.
Hey, you keep up the great work, okay? And next time I'm going to call you, and I want you to have better questions, okay?
I'll try. I'll write something down for you, my friend.
All right, I love you, man.
Yeah. All right, have a good one. Yeah.
Love everybody. Okay.
Damn, man, that guy's crazy. That's the first time someone called in and told me to ask them a question, apart from someone I interviewed. Yeah, man, that's interesting. But it was a question here. I forgot my last thought, but feel free to give me a call. There's something about Andrew Yang. It says, Mike, what do you think about Andrew Yang and his UBI idea, common sense? Yeah, I touched it out before. I think he's one of maybe I've stopped counting, but one of 2 or 3 other Democratic candidates that are all positioning themselves to do something grand for the population. UBI, his Patriot dividend, sounds good in theory. Anyway it goes, there's going to be, because there's a part of the stimulus package that's going to be coming. The best way to sell it, the best way for the Fed to sell it is to basically either buy bonds directly or load up their balance sheets some more, which once again is like, where does all that go? So the best way for the Fed to stimulate would be to give it to the people. So I can see some type of package deal being put together that makes the UBI very realistic, because they need a way to stimulate the economy, i.e., bring currency into existence to provide some liquidity, because their primary concern, of course, is the banking sector. But more importantly, they're really concerned with the amount of defaults, from corporate defaults, that they got to try to help. So now, instead of the banks, or along with the banks, they got to help the corporations out that have taken out all these loans over the last 10 years because of the low interest rates already. So UBI, I'm more than confident it's going to be coming sooner than we probably want. Definitely under the next, if Trump doesn't win this next term, I would pretty much guarantee UBI for whoever that next candidate is, next 4 or 5 years for sure. Just because, people will be feeling a pinch, and to pacify and to help, I guess, smooth over the public. The only way you can do it is by giving them something free. So once again, I'm not for or against him. He's doing the best he can. I think what he's doing is good for the people, and it's going to destroy our currency in the long run. But once again, I'd rather it happen now than kick the can down the road 10, 20 more years from now. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents there. But feel free to let me know what you think. It says, Mike, would you trade that number 1 for an ounce of gold? That's a hard one. It's not an easy yes, just because of the I guess probably not the emotional, but just the symbolism behind that 1 on the coin is something that is of value to me that could be equated to 1,300. So I'll probably pass, but it'd be hard to pass, but I'll probably pass, just because no matter what, both of them are going to be of extreme value in the future. So one more than the other, but I'll pass if that was presented. What else we got going on? Feel free to call in. And also, let me get to this article that I mentioned about Mario Draghi looking to stimulate. They're going to stimulate the ECB. Let me pull this article up here. Let me find it. Here we go. All right. This came out, what is this, as of today? I posted this today, I think. But it's very interesting. It's very telling. Oh, this is as of over the weekend. So it came out over the weekend. But I'll pull this up so you guys can see what I see. But here we have an article here. This is from New Europe. .edu. It says ECB prepares for a second wave of quantitative easing. And so not only are the U.S. looking to stimulate the economy, ECB or Europe will be doing the same. So imagine two superpower nations all counterfeiting at the same time. And the ECB, they have a bond buying program where they're just buying corporate bond. They're buying anything that they can buy. And I would imagine, I'm thinking like you're buying up all this quote unquote risky assets, but actually they're junk bonds and junk everything. Who's going to be willing to buy that stuff back? Nobody. So they won't be able to unload all that. So they're going to have to keep this easy. And you can't ease for infinity, just because that's you're easing in the very same thing that you want people to save and hold and cherish, because it's the currency for that region. So this spells trouble. So more and more as I look at the response to this so-called slowing down of the economy, the only solution that they're proposing is more of the same thing that brought us to this problem. And so it was funny. It says the ECB does not expect deflation or recession in 2019, but Draghi made clear that interest rates are likely to be cut. So they're about to cut. They're already here. It says ECB governing council left the benchmark refinancing deposit rate at 0. So their refinancing deposit rate is already at 0, and the deposit rate amongst the actual commercial banks is negative 0.4%, and they're talking about lowering it from that. So, we're not at negative 0.4, but it looks like if the ECB can get away with that, why can't the Federal Reserve get away with that as well by going negative? And if they go negative, that means they're going to start charging you to keep currency in the bank. So not only are you losing real purchasing power in relation to the inflation and the lack of interest being earned, but you're going to be charged to lose currency as well. All in the same equation. So, this you couldn't write a better horror movie than what they're trying to do and roll out to the people. And the bad part is most people don't even know that this is occurring right now. Most people have no clue that cash back is a byproduct. The cash back cards and model that we have now, everybody has a card with cash back attached to it. Not too many people realize that that's a consequence of ZIRP, zero interest rate policies, having 2.25% percentage points to where there's not much profit room for banks. So they say, hey, you spend, we'll give you some of your cash back. So this is interesting, man. Like as time goes on, this subject matter just becomes more of a I've never been one to say I can't wait till all this end, just because this is life altering stuff going on here. But I'm thinking like I can't change how things go down entirely, but I can play a part in how I personally and in my circle, how we're impacted on a financial sense. Because I'm thinking like right now is probably the best time to utilize whatever extra income you have or can make, and make it a little bit more disposable for yourself to actually focus on acquiring appreciating assets, the 3 A's, acquiring, appreciating assets, because going into debt in a negative sense, as far as for your own personal consumption is not good. But I am of the mind that going into debt in a way that creates cash flow can be positive, because you're basically playing the same game that's being played on you. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but just nobody called in, so I figure I'll just share my 2 cents with you. But me personally, I'm like, between now and whenever, I'm really like, man, like what assets out there stand to appreciate as all this stimulus and liquidity is brought into existence, and let me find whatever it is out there that's really cheap right now, and just focus on that. And that's kind of like where my antennas is like, doo-doo. I'm looking and always searching and involved in all types of things to find out what can preserve and, more importantly, be what I consider to be like liquidity sponges as they begin cutting on the spigots and flooding the world with stimulus. So once again, I'm ranting too much. Let me shut my mouth. What else going on here in the chat? Talk to me. What's the new topic matter of the day? So between your gold being confiscated in the bank, we know that's not something you want to do. Between Mario Draghi and Jerome Powell, they're going to get together and offer a stimulus package that the world won't ever forget. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when your central bank stimulates your lifestyle? And one thing that, I kind of feel like I'm making light of this, but I'm not. I'm trying to just really emphasize to people the dangers of stimulus and quantitative easing. All these policies that are new. These are all 10-year-old policies. ZERP, NERP, and QE. These are all new terms that majority of the population don't even know about, nevertheless could care about, but it impacts them the most. And knowing that they're going to do more of that, and it's not going to work. Because think about it. They're about to go to round 2 and round 1 after being able to look back now. Everyone who's watching us right now, I would imagine you are now well informed to be able to assess how effective that last round of stimulus, quantitative easing, how the last round of monetary policies have really helped or hurt or did nothing for Main Street, but really profited Wall Street. So knowing that it did nothing for us before, what's the likelihood that it does something for us in the future? It's a little bit better, because they're going to not only stimulate the banks, they're going to stimulate, they're going to inflate the bubbles that are already present even larger, creating that false net worth effect. But then again, as a UBI, they're going to put a little bit of that. They're going to have to put a little bit of that out into the public's hands, because you can't keep bailing out banks, bailing out corporations, and not directly stimulating people's pockets. So yeah, this is going to be real, because once again, once you unleash this, once you turn on that spigot, as you see, there will be no withdrawal. Like the Fed's balance sheet right now. Let me look this up. Federal Reserve balance sheet right now, they sitting on 4 point something trillion. They're sitting on 4 point something trillion. Recent balance sheet. Let me look this up. So watch this. I'm going to show you. So right now, this is the federalreserve.gov. This is the stimulus that was created last time. Let me zoom in a little bit. So they began. So here we have, since the beginning of the financial market turmoil in August 2007, the Federal Reserve balance sheet has grown in size and has changed in composition. Total assets, once again, they're calling these assets, but really they're, mortgage-backed securities are a bunch of mortgages patched together and sold to an investor. This is somebody's retirement account right now. But once again, the average person can't, invest in a mortgage-backed security. And on top of that, if most of the mortgages inside of that particular package were already foreclosed on, it's a limp noodle inside that damn thing anyway, so it's not really an asset overall. Has increased significantly from $870 billion in 2007 to 4.5 trillion. So at the beginning, so it was always going up, because they, all the currency that they are are responsible for shows up on their balance sheet. So as you see, it was very small, because most of the currency for the Federal Reserve is i.e. actually digits anyway. So the actual physical currency on their balance sheet was almost shy of $1 trillion, because there's only 1 point something trillion in paper anyway. So here we go. Since as a response, bam, this thing just shot up to 2.1 trillion. And then and so it's like QE1 here, QE2 here, and then like this is like QE3 or something like that. So we got all these spikes right here are extra packages of stimulus. So they've been sitting on that for quite some time now, slowly but surely call themselves selling it. And I'm not sure actually who's buying it, but somebody is. So as of end of last year, or the beginning of last year, they start unwinding, selling how many ever billions per month. But then they stopped, or they're set to stop. I'm sorry, they're set to stop, I think, at the end of the summer, where they will no longer sell because they're basically withdrawing liquidity out of the system. So you factor in, as this goes down, they're pulling out what they pumped in, so they're deflating the air out of the bubble. And once again, if the economy is built upon sustaining a bubble or the false network effect, they're going to have to inject some more air into that bubble. They're going to have to pump that bubble up some more, which means they're going to have to do something with this thing here. And this is all right. This is all for banks and corporations and part of the government's programs. And so this didn't really touch you and I. So this next round, it's at 4 point something at its peak, almost 5 trillion, 4.5 trillion at its peak, give or take. This next go round, they're looking to start this program before the recession kicks. So this was a response to the recession. They're looking to start this next round before the recession, so they can easily add another one just for comfort's sake. And then eventually, when the recession kicks in, this 4, they're going to have to double that or triple that. So we can go from 850 a decade ago to at least 15 trillion, much faster than this. This is, let me see, 8. This is almost 10 years. So this is, say, 8-9 years right here. This is 8 or 9 years between the spike up and where it peaked. So in, say, 8 years, for example, they're going to double this 2 years, maybe 3. Easy, just because, once again, if the air in the bubble starts leaking, or God forbid, an event happens and the bubble's pricked from one of the sides, and they have to now play like, okay, we got to patch this up now. They put I'm just making an example, but they put some sticky, a 1 trillion sticky note on one side of the bubble when it bursts. It busts over here, stick another 1 trillion sticky note, and they just patching that thing up 1 trillion a piece. That could happen. They can do all that in a couple of months. So this is the environment we're in, and this is just me sharing my observation based upon what has already happened in 10 years. Not feeling a bit of of ease whatsoever, thinking like, man, what they did with this is in response to a so-called crisis. This is Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, AIG, all them Wall Street boys had issues. Now the globe has issues. So yeah, they're about to really ramp this up, and it's going to all come back to roost, or it's all reflected in our national currency. So yeah, acquiring, appreciating assets at this current moment when they're the cheapest that they're going to be in this current monetary system is something that everybody, in my opinion, should literally be excited about, whatever that might be. But once again, I'm just rambling. I am just rambling. And so let me see here. It says, somebody says hashtag fake news. What we got this fake. I looked at the Bitcoin when it was a single digit, but I didn't know how to mine it or what it was. Let me see here. I get that, but cover your investment, and the rest will always be profit. No guarantees of any kind of this. Yeah, man. So that's because the Fed is not a political organization. What about the 21 trillion missing from the Pentagon budget? Dale Kane. Yeah. So that, the 21 trillion don't show up on nothing apart from those government agencies' balance sheets that are clearly mismanaged. So, missed a call. I'm sorry. Feel free to call back and get you on here. So yeah, the 21 trillion. I'll leave that to Catherine Austin Fitz and the professor at Michigan State to talk about that, because once again, they're not going to find that. You're not going to, there'll be no remnants of a 21 trillion. That stuff is already parked, used, or for whatever DART program, whatever they want to call that stuff, and that's just what we know. I would imagine, and we may not ever know, but I would imagine looking back in history, 10, 20, 30 years from now, hopefully we'll be able to see more of the things that we can't see now. Because, it was hindsight is what, 50-50, what they say it is. But like all the countless of trillions has been, like the word trillion is literally, it's only 20, 30 years old. Like the word trillion has actually been an actual amount that's on somebody's balance sheet. It's new. Because I want to say global debt now is 244 trillion. And that's just a good portion of that is in response to the last two recessions. So trillion is relatively new, but the question is, like, there's a word out there that's only used for one particular instrument, and that's derivatives, Spirit King. So we got the word quadrillion being used. Like, if governments can't pay back billions, they damn sure can't touch trillions. What in the world is a quadrillion? That's 1,000 trillion. Like, man, like, if the game ain't rigged, I'm not sure what it is, because how can any entity whatsoever bring something into existence in the form of a financial product or whatever a derivative might be labeled as? There's different types and all types of stuff. But why would they allow something to get so astronomically large to where there's not enough currency in existence to cover anything of that nature? So if one company or whatever goes, they all have to go because they're all interconnected. So this is just a hell of a story. And I've always mentioned this before, but we're a part of the greatest monetary experiment ever. And this thing is going to get crazy. It says, Mike, hold up your $1 trillion Zimbabwe note. I don't have it on me now. I don't have any of my notes here. I do have some mock-ups. I have a $1,000 Federal Reserve note here that I had made up. And so this is like, I did this a couple years ago, but if this is my version of a $1 bill. It got George on it. This is how I said that every country has their funny money to cut with all the colors on it. I'm like, let me just draw this up. And so I put this is $100 with George Washington on it. So this is when, inflation, you add 2 zeros to it. So just a little fun and games with that. But it is what it is, man. So as always, I've been rambling my mouth for 53 minutes, and I appreciate those that were on the other side. Listen to me ramble. More importantly, before I let you go, if you've enjoyed the rant or the back and forth, I hope it was hope it was educational in a sense where it doesn't take, in my opinion, someone with a PhD in economics to realize how Keynesianism has basically drained the world's wealth. Like all these are institutions that have just drained and hollowed out the working class. Like all this impacts the working class like never before, because the so-called middle class are the ones that work for all these entities that are responsible for taking out all this excessive debt that they can't pay back. They do it for profit margins for shareholders. And when things slow down, who are the first ones they get rid of? The people who made the profits for them in the first place. Yeah. But anyway, that's just me. I'm going to go down another tangent. But anyway, I'm going to leave it right there. If you guys have enjoyed this rant, this Tuesday night rant, as always, I got some resources right here. I would encourage you, if you're new to the channel, if you're not too familiar, the best way to get thoroughly educated is from people who are a lot smarter than myself. So if you go to rethinkingthedollar.com/university, I have 80-something interviews with PhD economists, authors, you name it. Good resource there. More importantly, if you have not, get yourself a RTD Scary George coin and definitely get your weight up. That's the best way. Hedge against all the foolishness, get your weight up. Then I got cash gold notes for those that want to acquire those, smallest increments of gold. And so, as always, if you've enjoyed the back and forth, give me a thumbs up. Don't be afraid to do such right beneath this video here. And if you find it informative, don't be afraid to share it. And let's keep this thing moving, man. And I'll be back here tomorrow night, Lord willing, same time, same place. And as always, it looks like it's 130 or so people tuning in. How many of you who are watching have not made your presence felt? How many people here who have not said, hey, Mike, I'm from such and such a city? Give me a quick shout out real quick. If you are on the channel, you're on the stream, and just let us know where you're watching from. Because if you're a new viewer, as you can see, we got people who call in regularly. We got a lot of family over here, and we want to definitely make sure that you feel welcome and comfortable asking questions. So the biggest thing, the phone line, is for you to call in to let your voice be heard. Let other people hear your voice, and we can all help each other out by answering each other's questions and go from there. So, but anyway, I appreciate everybody who did chime in. If you're bold enough to let me know where you're from, we got Vegas, baby. We got Dennis from New York. Learn to count, everyone. We got Kaya from Novi, Michigan. What's up? How you doing? Got a Michigander. We got Truman, Arkansas from Dale. Appreciate you. We got Clark Kent from Tennessee in the house. Battle Buddy from Killen, Texas. Alabama. We got James from Alabama. King from Brooklyn. Amelia from Orlando. Laura Speed I got here. So we got one call. Let me go ahead and take this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Going once? Going twice? Anybody there? Maybe not. All right. I try to get you on there. But we got Amelia from Orlando. Guy just got here. Laura Spade, I apologize, but we're about to check out, apart from me taking this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
Hello, this is Tim Kane from Wisconsin.
Tim Kane from Wisconsin. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm watching your podcast. You're talking about getting money out of the gold or out of the deposit box. My question is, what if you have money? I have gold and silver in the Delaware Depository because it's in an IRA, and I get different stories. If you don't hold it, you don't own it.
Yeah. That's what
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to depositories, those are a different beast because those are actually, they're listed as being insured and all those types of protections. So it's one of the things where it boils down to your comfort level, your instincts, and what you feel would be there if you needed to go get it. How easy would it be to go get it in the midst of something going down? Once again, I don't think we've in this world, in this country here, we've never been at a point where we felt that there won't be a lack of confidence completely in our entire system like that might be coming. So it's one of the things where it's insured, whatever that's worth at the end of the day. But yet, in my personal opinion, I am more of the mindset of having some in places where you can have access to them, but it all depends on your personal strategy. But it's insured, whatever that means.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
Yeah, it's one of the things. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, because the reason why I have it this way is it's in an IRA. My understanding is to take physical possession, I have to start up an LLC, and there's so many hoops you have to jump through. If you miss one or even get accused of missing one, then everything goes downhill and you owe taxes and everything.
And watch this. Okay, so for that particular thing there, heavy metals and IRA, perpetual assets. I had a gentleman on here who specializes in that. Their whole business is to help people actually take possession of their retirement vehicles in their own possession. So I would say give those gentlemen a call and just speak to them. They can share information with you if you haven't already spoken with a specialist, but seek the help of someone who's very knowledgeable and does it for a living. So I would recommend you visit those guys.
Perpetual assets.
Yep. So perpetual, let me actually pull it up. So it's perpetualassets.com just to make sure. And I would say perpetual assets. Let me pull it up here for best I can. Yep. So perpetual assets. It's the LLC IRA, and I had Will Lear, one of the gentlemen here on the screen, if you can see it. So definitely perpetualassets.com. Call them back. Call those guys and just tell me your situation. They are professionals in that manner.
All right, sounds great.
My friend. Tell them Mike from RTD sent you.
Okay.
All right, be
good. Thanks for your help.
Thanks for the call, my friend.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, yep. Yeah, man. Good stuff. I appreciate that call. Yeah, man, it's that thing of, it's a touchy thing because it's hard for me to share my opinion with different people because everyone is at a different place in their life. Like, some people are sitting on large amounts and it's the emotional nature of losing that. I can understand how it can be kind of tricky. But then again, you got to be realistic and say that, we all know that all promises, all contracts, when stuff hits the fan, there are no guarantees apart from you being able to physically say, here is mine. But yeah, man, hope that helps. Appreciate you calling in. Definitely reach out to Will Lear. They'll definitely help you and send you the right pathway. Give you some ideas anyway. But as always, I appreciate the call. We're about to dial back this evening. As always, for those that are watching, as I mentioned before, give the channel a thumbs up. Look at my ashy hands. Anyway, I'm gonna say goodbye for real before I start ranting again. But other than that, be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.